Blazer Nation, welcome back to the Blazer Victory Podcast. This is your host, John Duncan, and I'm joined as always with my co-host, Darian Smith. Hey guys, UAB's got a big game this Saturday night down in Baton Rouge as our UAB Blazers will face off against a top 10 ranked LSU Tigers in Tiger Stadium at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. If you're not able to make it down to Tiger Stadium, you can watch nationally on ESPN2. So, hey, forget the stadium, Darren. Forget CBS Sports Network. We're going to be, forget Facebook. Watch it on Facebook. We're going to be on ESPN2 Saturday night. Can you believe it, man?
Yeah, look at us finally. I didn't know what I ain't going to diss the stadium and say. I can't remember. I don't know if it's ESPN Plus with those horrible announcers. I can't remember. I can't remember what game that was, but it just stuck out in my head. Some of these announcers, like, they were trying to force Dylan into this certain quarterback, and what game was that? They was trying to say that such had such an explosive offense. They kept trying to force.
CBS Sports Network for that WKU Friday night.
Yes,
that was awful.
Oh my God! I was like, this dude, he doesn't know anything about these things. He got these clip notes, and he was going to stick to those talking points. I was like, at a certain point, you can just look at the game.
Exactly.
But yeah, anyway, man, we only a 14-point dog. We got a chance. You giving me hope, man. They giving me hope.
I'm telling you, man. Right when that came out, because we were thinking it'd be around 21, 24. Like, when it came out at 14, I just told you, man, that's respect on UAB. Like, I think that's what that is. Like, I think Vegas has put some respect on UAB to only open it at 14. Like,
yeah,
golly.
And Vegas knows something, like, because, again, we were at home this past week, but to open up the way our season has went, disappointing, and yada yada, we know that. But we opened up as 7-point favorites over North Texas. Right. These guys that should have beat UTSA, didn't they beat the crap out of WKU?
Yes, they did.
So that was the same team that did all this and that. We came, and Vegas knew better than us because we came and put it on them. So, man, I give a lot of respect to the Vegas Lions, because they always seem to be pretty much on the money with it. So
on it, and honestly too, Darren, like, looking at the spread now, it's only 14.5. Like, you would think that if there was a lot of people, betting on LSU, like, I'm still not 100% really sure about how betting works. I know we've got a bunch of listeners that, shout out, welcome to UAB. I know you know how it works, but to see it only move a half a point in a couple of days, or at least, more than 24 hours, like, that's got to show even more respect, in my opinion, right? Like,
right. It's a basic concept. If a lot of people are going to hammer LSU on that spread, that line is going to start to move until you see the bet start evening out, and you see that's how it works. It's about evening it out,
right?
And trying to get people to bet each side and more so. So that is impressive. They'll let you know that LSU isn't just being hammered here,
right?
And I'm surprised.
Me too. And guys, in a few minutes, we'll roll our interview that we had with Caroline Fenton of the Locked On LSU podcast. She hosts that and does a fantastic job. Make sure to give her a follow on Twitter at CarolineFenton1. And we'll roll that interview in a few minutes. But, Darian, we kind of hit on it last episode in our North Texas game recap. But, buddy, if we can just see UAB be competitive this Saturday night, of course I want the win. But if we can see us be competitive, if we can see UAB be competitive, I'll take that as a win, in my opinion. I just want to be competitive against a top-ranked team.
Yeah, I don't want to go in here and lay down. I want to have a magical moment for the program that I love. Right. I want us to come into Tiger Stadium, a top 10 ranked team, during this disappointing season that we've had. This embattled coach who's very much on the hot seat, and most likely right now he won't be here. I want him to come out there, scheme up the best game he's ever schemed up, and show that growth that we talked about on the last pod, show that it's real, because you can't get a better opportunity. I want us to, and we can get into the schematic things in a minute that we probably would like to see a little bit. But Yeah, I want us to see us come in there. I want us to see in there coming there trying to win. I don't want to get run play here, run play there, cloud of this. Let's get out of here. No injuries. No.
No.
Let's go win, man. What we got to lose? Go win. Let's show that this program is really, the program we thought that we could be, or the program that we are becoming. That is real. It's a real thing. I don't want to settle anymore. I don't want another repeat of Georgia, and I kind of blocked that out of my mind. That was so bad.
It was.
Yeah, so I want us to come in there to win and really believe in ourselves. I believe in those guys, so that's what I want to see.
And Darian, what an opportunity that Bryant Vincent has this Saturday night. Can you imagine? You hadn't won on the road all year, but you go into Death Valley and you can beat a top 10, or really a top 5, LSU team and get bowl eligible that way. Can you imagine like that?
That's like a Disney.
That's a movie, yeah.
Yeah, that's a movie. A battle interim coach whom the players love, but hasn't been able to really get it done. Shows growth and comes to be the top 10 team, and the program keeps him. He becomes one of the most winningest coaches at the program of all time. Like that's
man,
it's like this is the opportunity. We can have a Disney movie. Like, what are the possibilities that this happens? It's low. The percentage is low. I'm gonna be real, but opportunities like this is what you do. It's what is presented in front of you, and you can shut people like me up. You can shut half of the 90% of the fans that's on Twitter that I talk to, or whatever. It can shut us up. I want to be shut up. Like, shut me up. That's I want it, because I know I speak my mind, and I can be critical, whatever. Here go. And it's not about just winning. It's about being competitive. Like, how are we gonna respond to being hit when we have a negative play? How is the coaching staff gonna put our players in positions to have an advantage? It's going to be hard because they have talent all over their field.
Yeah, they do. I mean, everywhere. This it's a typical SEC team, but you take that up to another degree. Like LSU, they have always recruited well, and even though the crap that happened after Ed Orgeron, like they still have a lot of talent, and Brian Kelly was able to get really talented transfers to come in. And one of those main guys, their quarterback, Jaden Daniels, transferring over from Arizona State, a 3-year starter over there at ASU. Like he's been kind of up and down this year, but you can't deny this man's an athlete. Like he is very quick with his feet. He's not the most accurate quarterback, but he's got a heck of a good arm. Like he's got a strong arm that he can throw it deep and he can hit you with his legs. Like it's gonna be tough. Yeah,
right.
we last episode we kind of hit on talking about we would love to do it, and we'd still love to go down there and beat LSU, but it's gonna be tough. But I just want to see him competitive. That's my only ask. Like, just please be competitive. Take your shots. We kidded around last episode about, hey, go 5 wide. Like just try something different. Chunk it deep. 4 verts. Just leave it all on the line. Because, I mean, I don't know, Darren. We've seen so many times where UAB gets in these type of games, and I've been to a bunch of them. I went to Georgia last year, unfortunately. I went to Tennessee back in 2019, unfortunately. Like, I've seen these games, man, and they haven't been pretty for UAB. So just go in there, take a step in the right direction, and be competitive. And, hey, BV, nothing to lose, man. Like, this – just what an opportunity on national television to get a huge win or just make a huge statement by being competitive and just leave it all out there, man.
And I know those games do come down to belief in team and belief in yourself. How do I know I've played in them? So you can't sit there and tell me I was just a lowly, 3-star recruit out of JUCO. I was undersized. I had all of the little check marks against me or whatever. But all of those games that we left, it was respect. I remember Mississippi State. I remember they had Pernell McPhee. They had a lot of those guys. What's from the Eagles, Fletcher Cox.
Mm-hmm.
Played against those guys. Those guys shook our hand and said, "Man, y'all really came with it." those guys from Florida. They had Ely. He went second round to the Patriots, and they had a couple guys. They had a couple linebackers. I mean, and yeah, we lost those games. Like we lost 30-0 to Florida, and we were in it with Mississippi State. It was a close, like, one-score game and double overtime with Tennessee. I can't remember the other SEC team we played, but we were right there. And it doesn't matter the overall score. I realized it mattered when those games come down to it. It matter the pride in yourself, the position group you play with. If you believe, you're gonna go out there and you're gonna play to win. Like it's gonna be. It's not that much of a difference, guys. It's football. It is football. So go out there and play to win. If you go out there and you already believe, like, oh man, Kayshawn Boutte, oh man, this wide receiver, he's so talented. You know, if you start on Thomas, you get out there and you think you're gonna get burnt, and you're gonna get burnt. You know, if you're Sidney Wells, granted, you need a tight end to probably help chip with you when you got Harold Perkins right there. But if you can't, you need to understand the protection scheme, because I will not leave our guys one-on-one with that guy. But hey, if you understand the protection scheme and you realize, hey, I have enough to help me block him, I'm gonna go out there and get the job done when I get my hands on him. You go do that. Don't play scared. Do not play not to get beat too bad.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Go out there and play to win. Talk noise. Let them know that you're better than them. Play like you're better than them. I don't care what I don't care what any stars say. I don't care what the national guys say. Go out there and play your game, man.
And I guess let's go ahead and get into kind of scheme talk, Darren, before we get into predictions. Just looking at Harold Perkins, I mean, that dude is a beast. When I was watching film, I know you saw it pop off on your film study too, but I mean, this guy, 7.5 sacks. I mean, he's already got 52 tackles. Like, he is a true freshman. Schematically, what does UAB need to do to just avoid letting him have a big game this Saturday night?
Yeah, it's a couple of things. So in some games he played in the middle and he was playing primarily as a spy. So you think, okay, a spy is a guy that just kind of sit there, whatever. This is the most effective spy that I've ever seen, because his closing speed is otherworldly. His closing speed. So if I'm DeMar Jackson, Dylan Hopkins, let's transform him into Dylan Hopkins. Let's put DeMar back up. Like, if Harold Perkins is in the middle and he's spying, don't even try it, honestly. So that's one adjustment. If he's on the edge, you can do slide protection, to where it's slide protection. You have the line shifting to the right side. You have the running back blocking the edge on the left end, and it's a quick passing scheme. So instead of dropping back, you just slide. So if he has an inside move, the guard is right there. If he's outside, if he goes outside, the tackle is already positioned outside. Or I wouldn't even do. I can see them trying to blitz a lot, so he can be one-on-one with tackles, especially if he's on the right side with Sidney Wells. Kadeem will have. Hold on, I'm kind of got a little sick, almost about to sneeze in the mic right there. But Kadeem can hold up. I think Kadeem is an NFL guy. He has some things. He has the polish, but Kadeem has good feet. Kadeem was an SEC player and he transferred here. He can hold up some. But on the right side, that's where Harold Perkins that's where he mainly lines up when he rushes on the edge. We're gonna need help.
Yeah.
We're gonna, and I'm not talking about having the running back come from his backfield position and come chip. No, because other teams tried to do that and they got killed.
Right.
Have a tight end on the line. We need to give a true bump, or if you have them in a split position where they come and they do like a crack block before they get into their route, we're gonna have to have somebody on the line. Not a running back coming to help out, because they can find ways around it. I would either do slide protection, one quick passes, and have it. And if we do drop back play action, the tight end is going to have to line up on his side every time, and just you're going to have to give a crack block or just stay in and block. I don't care, but it's going to have to be two guys. or some kind of chip on them. I know sometimes we like to do those play action passes. A lot of times, now we cannot single up and do that.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen this Saturday night. Yeah.
Right. But the only sucky thing about it is they have number 18 Ojulari on the other side, and he was popping off he screams off the end too. So it all depends on where Harry Perkins line up. We got to be aware of him first of all, mentally. Number 40, where is he? Mm-hmm. His alignment kind of tells what he's gonna do, even though he has blitzed on the inside some. I feel more comfortable with handling him in the inside because you're kind of more in the phone booth. You can't, but he's dynamic on the outside, rushing the pass. He's super dynamic in his closing speed. In the running game, I would say run right at him. I would run right at him, even though he's good at shedding blocks. But you're talking about a backside linebacker or a backside end that can just destroy because his speed. If you leave him unblocked, think you can just read him. The dude will read the quarterback, make sure he's not keeping it, and he will scream down the end and make the tackle every time. He's that amazing. So just run right at him. His closing speed is too great to run away from him. And I know we're going to be caught up in schemes to where we can't do nothing about it. But we do a good job of sending a tight end in motion, and he blocks the backside end.
Right.
We're going to have to do that to him if we're running away from him. So just we just got to be aware of where he's at, aware of what he does well. That's it. That is his speed and his ability to tackle. Just be aware, and then you make your adjustments off of there. So mentally, our guys have to just be locked in, and our coaches as well. We're gonna have to line up, get our tempo. We're gonna have to really see where they at, lining up and on defense, and then we're able to make adjustments, and then we should be good to go.
See, and hey, it's going to be loud in Tiger Stadium, so they're going to have their hand signals, paying attention to the sideline, and getting set really quickly because it's going to be loud and it's going to be hard to hear. On the field.
I'm glad you said that. That speed and tempo, the pace and tempo, you're absolutely right. That makes it so much more important to get up to the line, hurry up. It's almost you got to be in a hurry up pace because.
Yep.
I remember Tennessee and they got to that double overtime. I've never seen something like it. It was like the ground was shaking. It made me laugh, but we tried to kind of, before we switched to silent count, we tried to down said hood. I remember Brian. I remember looking at his mouth because I was looking in between his legs. I was like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you at all. And I laughed on the line this is awesome. This is the stuff you want to play for.
Right.
But I looked at his mouth and I just saw him and I'm like, you don't have to go silent count. And we have to switch it up, call timeout, and go silent count. But Baton Rouge is going to be like that 8 p.m. night game. All the hype they got going on. They clinched the SEC West, right?
They have, yeah. So they're in it regardless, yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to be a team that's going to be rowdy and they're going to be looking to crush us. Honestly, they're going to be looking to make a statement, get off the field at halftime, crush us. And I want to spoil that so bad. I know the players do too.
And I guess, Darren, what would you do if you're Coach Reeves on the defensive side of the ball? Do you stick with that 3-man front to kind of just keep Jaden Daniels in the pocket and spy him? Or what do you think Reeves is going to do this Saturday?
That is a good question. I was trying to think about that.
Because you can do a couple of different things. You can spy or you can just be straight up aggressive and just go ahead, because Caroline in our interview mentioned they've got a couple freshmen on the offensive line. So you just try blitzing them, being aggressive and just going right after them or.
Right. But while they have a couple of freshmen, we don't have the marquee bookends this year. We don't have the Alex Wrights or the Jordan Smiths. We've got guys that they're good at what they're doing now. I guess you play it a lot like you played North Texas, because they're gonna run the ball. We have a good defensive backfield. We gotta trust in them, but I believe we're gonna have to bring some guys up because they are physical. It's a top SEC line. Of course, they're gonna be able to crease us here and there, so we're gonna have to bring some guys down. We're just gonna have to, try to double, probably have a safety high here and there. We're going to have to mix it up, honestly. It's going to be a tough call. Jaden Daniels is very mobile, but lately he's been doing a good job of spreading it out. So I don't think we don't have the dynamic pass rushers that Arkansas do.
Right.
But we have a good team unit. So we're going to have to just leverage like we've been doing all year. We're going to have to leverage our team unit together and just, I don't know, we try to rush 10 guys when it makes sense. And but I do think we're going to have to probably pull a safety down and, force them to throw, which they don't have any problems throwing. They have weapons.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough, honestly, for Coach Reeves. But all year I believed in him, and all year he's came through. So I guess you just kind of stick to what you do, and then you build out from there.
Definitely. Well, hey, the overall series with UAB LSU, it's tied 1-1. UAB won it back in 2000 in Tiger Stadium.
Yeah.
So, hey, let's do it again. If they can do it back in 2000 against Nick Saban, one of the best coaches of all time, then, hey, maybe we can kind of get Brian Kelly and maybe figure out what his real accent is of this game. So, yeah, I had to throw that in there.
Yeah,
I mean, but Darren, LSU talent everywhere. I think really the keys to this game to me is we can't have more than 2 or 3 false starts. If we start having like 4 or 5 false starts in that game, like it's going to get ugly.
But that's so tough to ask in this one, right?
I know it is, because this is the place that you can kind of expect 4 or 5 false starts, like,
yeah.
But I mean, and no turnovers. Hey, they've done TJ Jones dropped it this past Saturday, but I thought overall the last couple of weeks they've done a pretty good job about not turning the ball over. Didn't have any in Boca against FAU. UTSA only had 1, and then only had 1 against North Texas. So if we can limit the turnovers while trying to be aggressive, then maybe UAB takes this thing into the fourth quarter and has a shot. But
I think that's the key. That's what you said. Like, we need to stay in it, stay attached. We need to bust off a big run here and there. Like a big pass. We need Dylan to be Dylan. I've liked what I've seen from Schropp, to John Palmer, and Fred Ferrier as of late. I feel like Fred has really ascended to that number 3 guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he can make some plays along. I want to see Schropp. I want to see what Schropp and Tajon do on the big stage, because they got a lot of defensive backfield speed. It's LSU. They got a lot of dogs on defense. So I am interested to see how we're gonna be able to manufacture, put points on the board. And that's what I'm looking forward to seeing.
Me too. Well, Darian, I'll go ahead and give my official score prediction. I think LSU gets it done. I think LSU beats UAB 31-24. So I think it's a tie. I think UAB I think we can keep it close, man. I had it 31-17, but the more I thought about it, and like, if we can just get into the fourth quarter and be tight, like, and just have a chance to make it a one possession, like just down 7 points. And UAB's done well. Like, they have been in every single ball game that they played this year. So if they can go down in Baton Rouge and play their best ball, then I like us to try and keep it close. So I officially say 31-24, maybe 31-17, but I think UAB can cover the spread.
All right,
what's yours?
I give my 2 scenarios. I honestly think we're either going to be in it to win it, or we're going to get our ass whooped.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the doomsday. Yeah, I can see that.
But I don't think so. Like 31-17 is kind of like, it's kind of like how when we play Miami, it's kind of like, y'all was straight, y'all was kind of in it. No, I don't see it being like that. It's either we're going to get 45-10, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Either we're going to just really get whooped, or we can't score, it's like 3-48 or something like that, or it's going to be like a, get down to the fourth quarter, UAB can pull it out 32-31 type of deal. I don't think it's no in between, man. Either we're in it or we're not. And I think, the coaches, the players, what is our attitude going to be about it? when we get out there, we will really see how much a talent deficit it is. But if we can find little spots to where we actually out talent them in certain little areas, and if our coaching staff come to win it and they can scheme up some things, we can force a turnover here and there. We can force a fumble. We can get a pick six. That's gonna let you know if we're in it to win it, early in the game. But if they come out and they just steamroll us for a touchdown, it's a sack, type of deal, and they go up 14-0, I might turn off the game. Like, we didn't come to win at all. I'm not even finna. No use even watching. I'm not finna be upset for what.
Right.
So that's how we came out versus Georgia. It was like, and it was so embarrassing. I turned that game off. Like, I don't even know why I'm watching this.
Yeah.
But if we come out to win it, man, hey, Vegas knows something. So yeah, we can be in there, man.
Definitely. Well, guys, we will not be doing an instant reaction to the LSU game Saturday night. The main reason being is that I will be in Baton Rouge for that game. So if the game's not kicking off till 8 and being over midnight, and then I've got to drive back to New Orleans, so I probably won't be back in my hotel till like 2 a.m. So we will not be doing an instant reaction episode, but we will try to do something sometime the next day on Sunday. But Darren, this is why you play the game. So let's see what happens, man. That, like we said last episode, they put on their shoulder pads just like we do. So we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, screw it, man. Hey, F it, Dylan. Schropp down there somewhere.
Hey, Schropp and Palmer down there somewhere.
We coming in to win, man. I don't care about that today. I don't care about 2 yards in the cloud of this, man. We come in here to take the game, man. And I think Coach Vincent got a lot to prove. So
definitely.
Hey, let's see if he can prove it.
Definitely. Well, all right, guys. Well, without further ado, we will go ahead and roll our interview that we have with Caroline. Go Blazers. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Blazer Victory Podcast, where we are pleased to be joined by Caroline Fenton, that host of the Locked On LSU podcast. Caroline, thank you so much for just making some time this Monday evening to talk some LSU Tigers football with us.
Of course. I will take any opportunity that I can get to talk LSU football. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do it.
Of course. And I know it's exciting times right down there in Louisiana, especially this year with Brian Kelly in year 1. And just right out of the gate, I want to ask you, Caroline, just how has Brian Kelly been able to do this so quickly in year 1 at LSU? Because, I know there's always talent down there, but, he kind of inherited a mess from Ed Ogeron, heading out there from the year before.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in. Before you answer, I just want to jump in. It was a lot of skepticism and criticism, and I remember the recruiting dance video that was kind of cringe.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That. It was met with so much seemed like pushback. So I am curious in your answer on this one.
Yeah, skepticism, you are 100% correct. And I think that me as an LSU fan, and really LSU fans as a whole, we're just as surprised as probably the rest of the college football world is. You say how he's able to do it in year 1, and I'll even go as far as to say how he's been able to turn things around in just the last few weeks. Because you go back to week 1, you go back to that Florida State game, and LSU looked slow, LSU looked sloppy, LSU didn't look like a full cohesive team. And I always said I was as critical and as skeptical to your point, Darian, about the Brian Kelly hire. I thought, okay, Brian Kelly was brought in here to be the antithesis of Ed Orgeron. I understand Ed Orgeron won a national championship. I view that as more as lightning in a bottle. And really, the way that Ed Orgeron left that program, it was undisciplined. It was unorganized. That team just didn't have any guidance. So I said, okay, if anybody can come in here and lay the hammer down and bring some organization into this program, it's somebody who is viewed as such a quote unquote CEO like Brian Kelly. And I think I was really discouraged after that first week against Florida State because it looked like a coach Ed Orgeron coach team. And I don't mean that with any disrespect to Ed Orgeron. It's just the dumb mistakes, the dumb penalties. It looked like LSU of 2020 and 2021, and that's not what we signed up with Brian Kelly. but I have to give him so much credit for one, the way that how much he's been able to work with. LSU had 39 scholarship players in January, and now we turn around and LSU won the SEC West. I mean, that's huge. What Brian Kelly was able to do with the transfer portal and how he's been able to elevate these true freshmen. I mean, I made this point on a Locked On LSU podcast last week. I said, I think that LSU has a very good case to have the most impactful freshman class of any other program in college football. And I look at Harold Perkins. He's a true freshman that single-handedly won that game against Arkansas. I look at LSU with two true freshmen on both ends of the offensive line, Will Campbell at left tackle and Emory Jones at right tackle. I don't know how many college football programs have one true freshman starting at tackle, much less two. And I also look at Mason Taylor, who, he won the Alabama game for LSU. He was the one who was able to get in the end zone on that 2-point conversion. He had a touchdown against Alabama. So I look at all of these freshmen that have been able to step up and really be elevated in their true freshman year. And also some of these these transfer portal players that have been able to come in and, learn this system and learn each other and really serve as a cohesive unit. So that's credit to those players, and that's credit to Brian Kelly and Mike Denbrock and Matt House and the offensive and defensive coordinators for getting this team together, getting them rallied around the system, getting them rallied around the philosophy that Brian Kelly wants to install in this program, and for being able to do it so quickly. It's not what I expected in year one, but absolutely, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm particularly extremely surprised because I know I mentioned the dance video, the recruiting. And I think that player ended up signing to, I can't remember the player, but didn't he sign to Alabama?
He did. Yeah, he was a tight end who ended up signing with Alabama. And that was one thing that I look at it and I'm like, I'm not going to say that it was a stupid dance video that went viral and making fun of Brian Kelly, that being the reason why he decided to go elsewhere. But I do think that it was just so much negative press around the program and just making fun of Brian Kelly, that video and the whole, Southern accent video.
Yes.
Like I said so many times, I just want him to win games so we can stop talking about all of this. So we can stop making fun of the dance videos. So we can stop talking about the Southern accent and we can start talking about, is Brian Kelly actually going to be able to get it done at LSU? And, the videos and the fake Southern accent were just kind of, fodder around the country, which I get it. It's easy to make fun of. He's an easy guy to make fun of. He's kind of a goofy guy. But I think now I'm finally getting what I've been asking for so many months of when can we finally just start winning games so we can stop making fun of the Southern accent, which I'm sure will never go away. But at least that there's a different conversation around the program and there's a different focus on the program and it's all in a positive light and it's all LSU fans, and I think fans of other programs across the country finally looking at it like, okay, this is why LSU signed him to such a massive contract.
Right. And Caroline, you mentioned him earlier, but just doing some film study on LSU, I mean, Harold Perkins, true
Bad
freshman,
boy.
just pops off. How special is he, on that defensive for LSU?
I mean, he is invaluable. And I think the scariest part about it for opposing fans or opposing teams is Harold Perkins is not a finished product. Brian Kelly and Matt House, the defensive coordinator, both talk about it a lot, talk about his special skill set and how smart he is and how much he's learned in just this year, but also how much he really, truly has left to grow. And Brian Kelly mentioned it after the Tennessee game, because Harold Perkins was on the sideline for a majority of that game. And I criticized that decision, and I still do, and I criticize it even more. And I'll probably never forgive Brian Kelly for sitting Harold Perkins in that game. But he did mention that Harold Perkins struggles on the outside, and he really thrives kind of on the inside. And I understand that thought process because Tennessee was a team that likes to air it out. They're a team that likes to play up against the numbers. They're not a team that you're going to beat on the inside and up front on the line. So I understood the thought process. I just disagreed with it. But I have to give credit to Matt House, the defensive coordinator, for finding such a creative way to use Harold Perkins because he's been a QB spy the past few weeks. We saw it against Alabama. He was just giving Bryce Young fits all night long. We definitely saw it against Arkansas as well. Anytime, whichever, quarterback was in, whether it would be Malik Hornsby or the third string quarterback whose name Caleb Fortin, I believe is his name. Anytime they wanted to rip off a run, Harold Perkins was right there. Harold Perkins does such a great job of kind of defending that gap and being a spy. And he can drop back in coverage and serve as a defensive back role, or he can kind of come up forward and play a linebacker role. So they've been able to use his versatility and also to kind of mask some of those areas where he still has room to grow. So I think that he is such a special player. He is quick. He's got the speed of a safety, but the size of a linebacker. And he's really, really smart. And I think he's only going to grow even more. And he has been a problem. He's going to be even more of a problem for opposing offenses moving forward. And I don't mean to, jump to conclusions or be over dramatic, but I have a good feeling that Harold Perkins is going to be like a Tyrann Mathieu level defensive player for LSU, because I think that not only is he one of the best freshmen in the country, I think he's got a good case for being one of the best defensive players in the country as well.
Yes, I think he does too. I was watching film on him. I was a guy that I used to play at UAB.
Nice.
So I'm a film junkie. So when I was watching film on him, I don't think I have ever seen somebody impact the game so much as a spy. Like, it is crazy. His closing speed and his ability. It's not even the speed, but the way he's able to plant his feet in the ground and get a quarterback or whoever it is, he's able to get them on the ground. Like, it's one thing to get there, it's one thing to get them down. And he gets them down. I'm like, I can't think of any player he's a true freshman. So right. I heard you say he still has areas to improve in and rooms to grow. Could you expound on that and what you think those areas are?
Yeah, well, and it's really kind of what we've heard from Brian Kelly, and that he still has room to grow, probably in pass pro, and probably like going up more on the outside, because that's where he's really thrived, is playing sort of inside, and also he's able to flip from man to zone very easily, and we've seen that especially against Alabama, where he's able to kind of drop back into zone coverage or kind of come forward into man and be a QB spy. I think where he does have room to grow, and this is not, my own analysis. I can only see what I see in the game. I can't really see what he's doing in practice, but kind of taking Brian Kelly's word for it, that he still has room to grow on being a presence on the outside. Right now, I think he's playing more of a less of a pure pass rusher role, which he can play. But he's playing more of kind of that hybrid linebacker safety role. I think that's where he can grow a little bit more, is more being more on the outside, being able to cover more of those edges.
Gotcha. Well, the way he gave Arkansas the right tackle, the way he gave him Fitz on pass pro, I'm like, ooh.
Well, and I'm looking at Arkansas's offensive coordinator, and I'm thinking, are you going to single Harold Perkins all day long?
I thought I was looking at it, and I was like, what are you doing? Like,
I'm pretty sure that was their right tackle's first start. I believe their starting right tackle was out with an injury or something along those lines. I don't know the exact story, but I'm pretty sure that was the right tackle's first career start. And you're going to single him up against Harold Perkins, who's got 4 sacks on the day. I was confused why Arkansas wasn't making some of those adjustments to account for Harold Perkins, because that's not a guy that you want to leave one-on-one.
Right, for sure. Well, Caroline, kind of looking at the other side of the ball for LSU. Talk a little bit about how Jaden Daniels has just come in immediately from Arizona State and just, I mean, I know basically kind of run a couple other quarterbacks out of the building, getting the start and starting all year. And I mean, this is a 4-year starter. He started 3 years at Arizona State and his first year at LSU. Like, what has he meant for this offense in his first year at LSU?
It hasn't been smooth sailing this entire season. I mean, it's been a little bit bumpy for Jaden Daniels. It's been pretty bumpy for this offense as a whole. I can look to the defense and say that defense won a whole heck of a lot of games for LSU so far this season. And Jaden Daniels did come into LSU with a little bit of a quarterback competition. Miles Brennan is the guy who had been at LSU for 6 years. He was named the starter twice in 2020 and 2021. And unfortunately, left the 2020 season with an injury and then wasn't able to start without the entire 2021 season with an injury. So, I mean, that kind of seemed like the guy that I think a lot of LSU fans wanted to earn the starting job, because with all of these changes within LSU's program, new head coach, new coordinators, a bunch of players leaving through the transfer portal, just a lot of shakeup within the program. I think a lot of LSU fans viewed Miles Brennan as like that one constant of that one player kind of tying this team to the 2019 team. And a lot of people felt a lot of comfort with Miles Brennan and a lot of question marks with Jaden Daniels, being a West Coast kid coming to LSU. A lot of people didn't know what to expect from Jaden Daniels. But I thought from the beginning that he was going to be the guy because, like you said, he already had 3 seasons as a starting quarterback under his belt. And I look at Jaden Daniels' skill set, and it reminds me a lot of Desmond Ritter's, of maybe some accuracy issues, really strong arm, and really talented runner. And that's exactly who Mike Denbrock was able to kind of form into a quarterback that brought his team to the college football playoff. Mike Denbrock, the offensive coordinator at Cincinnati last year, and now the LSU offensive coordinator. So I thought, he has experience shaping these mobile quarterbacks into more of a pro style system. But yeah, Jaden Daniels ultimately did get the starting job, and his mobility kind of seemed to be almost like a weakness for this team because you really saw it against Florida State. Anytime there was an open pocket, he just immediately deferred to his feet. And he wouldn't take the time to step back and go through his progressions because as soon as he felt pressure, he was going off with his legs. And, that might win you a couple games, but that's not going to win you very many games in the SEC, especially the SEC West. So I think that that's what LSU's offense was dealing with for, at least the first half of the season so far, was the offense was doing just enough on the ground to score enough points, and the defense was the one winning games. Look at that Auburn game, for example. LSU's offense didn't get anything going until the defense forced a fumble, sack fumble, picked it up, scoop and score. That got LSU on the board, down 17-7, and the offense was able to do just enough to win that game, and the defense was able to hold off Auburn's offense long enough to be able to win that game. But it wasn't anything exciting offensively until we saw that Florida game. And that's when Jaden Daniels really started to see a lot of confidence. We started to see something click in that Florida game. And I don't know if it was Jaden Daniels' own confidence. I don't know if it was Jaden Daniels' chemistry with the receivers that just finally something clicked there. LSU played Florida after Tennessee, after they just got their butts whooped against Tennessee. And Kayshon Boutte had his first touchdown of the season against Tennessee. And I don't know if that was what they needed, what, Kayshon Boutte and Jaden Daniels needed as a quarterback and receiver to be like, okay, no, this is what we need. This is, the kind of confidence and chemistry that we need. I don't know if it was just time that they needed, but against Florida is when we saw Jaden Daniels really start to click within this offense. So yes, Jaden Daniels has looked like a Heisman caliber quarterback over the past 4 weeks or so, but it didn't come without a lot of a learning curve, which is to be expected. A transfer quarterback in his first year in the system, his first year in this conference, it had some growing pains, but it's really starting to pay off here.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I was going to ask, when did you think it was going to click? Because when did you thought it clicked for Jaden Daniels? Because I saw that the Alabama game, of course, I think everybody around the nation was watching that one. And, it was so exciting or whatever. But what I was so impressed with was after the game. And, he was talking on national TV, and he seemed so poised. Like during the game, him and Bryce Young seemed like the two most poised quarterbacks I've ever seen in college, But the way he carried himself and the way he talked, it was so much maturity. Yeah. And it's just so much poise. And it really made me a fan of his, how he was able, even in that exciting time, just able to calm himself down and talk properly and well and, just carry himself so well. So I didn't know if that was the moment that, it started to click for them on offense because his maturity and poise. But then you look at I wasn't able to really catch the whole Arkansas game. I see the 13-10 box score. No, what went on in the Arkansas game?
Good question. Because that's, I think, what we're all asking ourselves. And yeah, to your point, I mean, Bryce Young, I think, has the best composure of any college quarterback I've seen, and probably since Joe Burrow. Bryce Young is just so cool. And Jaden Daniels, yeah, we saw that against Alabama. I think we saw that against Florida. We saw it against Ole Miss. And it's really, I think Jaden Daniels is kind of just a microcosm for this team as a whole, is they just never they never feel like they're under pressure. It's been kind of a theme with LSU this entire season that they get down early. Saw it against Ole Miss. They were down 17-3. We saw it against Mississippi State. We saw it against Auburn. They were down 17-0 in the first half. And they just never really seem to be bothered by it. And Jaden Daniels, I think, really is kind of the leader with that. But against Arkansas, I think there were a few different factors at play here. One, Arkansas has a damn good defensive line. Arkansas, I believe, was second in the SEC in total sacks going into that game, but led the SEC for a majority of the season so far in sacks, because the defensive line is just so freaking good. Where Arkansas struggles is in pass defense, and I think we kind of saw that. But I mean, LSU wasn't able to throw the ball very much. I don't know if that was weather. I mean, Jaden Daniels is a kid from California who played in Arizona and now plays in Louisiana, and it was snowing in Fayetteville, so I don't know if that's part of it. I don't know if it was offensive play calling, and I don't know if it was just Jaden Daniels was under duress the entire game, and those, like, the two true freshman tackles that I mentioned, it was just a little bit too much for them to handle against that really talented Arkansas front. So I think it was just kind of all of those things at play here, that they just couldn't get things moving. And once Jaden Daniels got rattled by that defensive front, it was just no going back from there. But credit to Josh Williams and credit to the LSU run game for being really kind of the saving grace offensively there. But yeah, the Arkansas game definitely was not a highlight for LSU offensively. The defense single-handedly won that game. But I do think weather played. I hate that feels like such a boring excuse, but I do think weather played a good point in that. But I think that Jaden Daniels as a whole has proven that, like, hey, he can be a great leader, and he can be calm, cool, and collected, and he can lead that team very much.
Yeah, we like you, Caroline, but we're gonna pray for snow in Louisiana. Come on, snow.
When pigs fly, I do remember when I lived in Louisiana, when I was a student at LSU, we got 1/8 of an inch of snow, and we were out of school for 4 days. So that just goes to show how not equipped to handle the snow we as Louisianans, and also football players in Louisiana, when it drops below 32 degrees, we just don't really know how to act.
Yeah, we John, you remember Snowmageddon down here? What year was that?
Yes, that was 2014 or 15.
Horrible.
It was bad.
It looked like something off The Walking Dead. Like all the cars was on the side of the road.
Just totally barren.
Yes.
Like I'm from St. Louis, and so I'm used to snow. I drive in snow, and so when it was 30 degrees and nobody would leave their houses, I'm like, okay, who needs me to go on a grocery run for them? I will brave the elements for y'all, since you're not used to it.
That's how we are down south, baby. It's just yes.
Well, all right, Caroline, I want your honest opinion. When you saw the Vegas line open at LSU just a 14-point favorite, what was your first reaction when you saw that? Were you shocked, or was it?
I think it was maybe a little bit of shock, but also my first inclination was, what does Vegas know?
Right.
Vegas is always up to something, and it was the same kind of feeling that I got when I saw the opening line for the Arkansas game was LSU -3.5. That, okay, that's strange. LSU is coming off of a win over Arkansas rather is coming off of a loss to Liberty. These two teams are not in the same position. So what am I missing here? And I think it was probably a combination of Vegas understanding, like, the weather that was coming through. LSU had a flu breakout in the locker room. So with that, all at play, or did Vegas just recognize that LSU has some fatal flaws offensively that Arkansas's defense was going to be able to take advantage of? I always have to defer to Vegas there, because Vegas always knows something that we just don't. So, I mean, I think that shows that we're going to be in for a good game. And I think that Vegas is giving UAB a good bit of credit here, because, to be honest, I haven't watched UAB football so far this season. So from y'all's perspective, why do you think the spread is 14? A lot closer than probably I would have expected.
Me and Darian, I mean, the last episode we recorded, Darian, didn't we think it was going to be like 24 or 27, something like that? Like we were way off.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be more so 21. Not because of the talent on our team, but because on the road we haven't.
UAB hasn't won on the road yet. Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's a tough environment to play on the road at 8:00, nonetheless.
Yeah, but also I can't say that on the road we haven't gotten blew out or anything like that. We haven't lost a game by more than 7. We've had a very frustrating year, to say the least. we could very well be sitting here undefeated if it wasn't for penalties and turnovers, honestly, because this is one of the most stacked teams that we've had at UAB, but we went through a late coaching change. So our coach was a first-year head coach. He was the offensive coordinator, and he got put in a tough position for a team with championship expectations. And honestly, before LSU had this miraculous turnaround and we had all the hype around us, honestly, it was a lot of people looking at circling this SEC game at the beginning of the year before Coach Clark retired, like, and get this one, because all the turmoil that was going on over there and all the hype and expectations on our side. But,
totally fair.
Huh?
Totally fair.
Yeah, like I thought, in the beginning of this year, like, hey, this is we can go in here and we can take down LSU, but the seasons played out how they played out. But we just were we were a 7-point favorite over North Texas. Just then North Texas was the runner up in the conference, and we just beat the mess out of them. Now we were at home, and we have our starting quarterback back. So I know that that had a lot to do with it. But I'm curious to see. We have a pretty good defense, and our coach has grown over the year. It took half of the season, but he's got there. So I'm curious to see if we just gonna go out there, since we done had a disappointing year, playing with house money, just like whatever. Like I know John mentioned it last podcast, just go 5 wides. We're not a 5 wide team. just do stuff,
just go all in.
just exactly.
Throw it at the wall, and if it sticks, great. And if it doesn't, no harm, no foul.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to it. John will be at the game.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll need a couple Red Bulls before to stay up to 8, but I'll be there.
I'm sure you will have plenty of liquid encouragement from the people around Baton Rouge, whether that's a Red Bull or not. I'm sure you will have plenty of juice to get you through the day.
Well, I was going to say, Caroline, now since LSU beat Alabama and Auburn, surely they'll be nice to UAB fans coming down, right?
I will say one thing, and I don't know how much experience I'll have with LSU fans. I feel like we get a lot of a kind of a bad reputation about being mean to opposing fans. I have to say, I mean, I obviously am very biased. LSU fans can either be your worst nightmare or your best friend. I think LSU fans are so welcoming and just overall want visitors or LSU fans or whoever it might be just want to have a good time in Baton Rouge. So I promise you, if you go up to a tailgate, if they've got gumbo, if they've got a full ice chest full of whatever it is you might want to drink, they will welcome you with open arms. I promise you. They I can't say it for everybody, but I can say for probably a good bit of the fan base, they'll just be excited for you to be there.
Well, good. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
If you need any recommendations, let me know.
Yes, I'll definitely have to shoot you a message to get a couple of places to maybe check out while I'm down there. We're staying in New Orleans, but we're gonna drive down to Baton Rouge. Yeah.
Fun. Yeah, that's kind of the way to do it. I don't know if you've made a trip to Baton Rouge before.
I have not. No. Is it like Tuscaloosa kind of, or is it like?
I don't know. I've been to Tuscaloosa twice, so I don't have a great grasp on Tuscaloosa. But I mean, it's your typical college town. I mean, a bunch of really great places to go, great places to eat, great places to drink, great places, see live music and to hang out. But yeah, I always say if this is your first trip to Baton Rouge, do New Orleans the night before. Do the whole New Orleans thing. Go get a fun dinner. Go see Bourbon Street, and then make your way to Baton Rouge because there's a lot of fun things to do in Baton Rouge as well.
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm originally from Brookhaven, Mississippi. It's just only about
not too far.
Yeah, that's only about probably a little over an hour away from Baton Rouge. So I used to be in Baton Rouge all the time, and I used to be around a lot of LSU fans. Like one of my closest friends is all LSU all day, So I do understand your point of saying that y'all do get a bad rap. But I have seen those. I've seen the bad side of those. LSU fans. It could get ugly quick.
Oh yeah, every batch has got your bad little sample in there for sure.
Right.
As long as you're not wearing a Florida Gator, Alabama Crimson Tide, or an Ole Miss Rebel shirt, I think that you should be welcomed with open arms.
So I should be good then.
Just wear a hat. Don't wear a shirt.
Yeah, I do remember. I live in Nashville. I went to LSU, so a bunch of my friends and family here in Nashville all went to Tennessee. So I brought a bunch of my friends from Nashville for the LSU Tennessee game. And one of my friends came wandering out of Tiger Stadium after the game, like trying to find a place to go. Phone wasn't working. And he just stumbled upon this LSU tailgate. And they still to this day like text like they're friends.
Oh, that's
cool.
Wow.
It was so cool. Yeah. And he was like so nervous to go up to them and ask, like, hey, do you guys have a phone charger? I need to call my friends. Don't know where I am. They gave him a cup of gumbo. They gave him beer. We ended up hanging out at their tailgate for like an hour after the game. It was just like super friendly and was like, yep, that game sucked for LSU, but happy for you guys. So I do have some good stories for opposing fans. Not just bad ones, not just tiger bait stories.
Well, Caroline, last question. So in your opinion, what does UAB have to do to go down to Death Valley and possibly pull the upset over LSU?
I think first and foremost, don't let the environment intimidate you. That's one thing that we as LSU fans pride ourselves on so much, and it's for good reason, of how difficult of a place Death Valley is to play, especially at night, especially for a team that's been rolling and been playing very well, especially very well at home. Don't let the environment get to you. It's going to be loud, it's going to be rowdy, and it's going to be very, very intimidating. But if you just keep a level head and understand going into it, okay, this is the game plan. We may need to switch to a silent cadence. Don't let it get to you. Because it is an intimidating place to play. I don't care if you're UAB. I don't care if you're the University of Alabama. It could be intimidating. And I think another thing too is LSU is a team that likes to use the run to set up the pass. If you take the run game away from LSU, this offense obviously is very one-dimensional, and in that one dimension being the passing game, being one part of LSU's offense that's still developing. So taking the run away from LSU's offense, I think, is pretty lethal for this team. So if you're able to do that, you're going to be able to limit LSU's offense and how much points they can put up very much so.
Well, awesome. Well, Caroline, thank you so much for coming on the Blazer Victory podcast. Guys, if you are not following Caroline on Twitter, give her a follow at Caroline Fenton 1 on Twitter. And Darian, you want to go ahead and close us out, buddy?
Hey, we're going to go down to Tiger Nation, Tiger Stadium, and Blazer Nation. We're going to ride. So let's ride.
Let's ride.